It's time to get your news on. We are VK1WIA.
And I'm Editor Graham, VK4 Baker. In WIA national news for this week, commencing February 4, 2024, WIA's Editor-in-Chief of Amateur Radio Magazine, Roger, VK2ZRH, WIA's 2020 Technical Excellence Award winner, Roger, VK3KYY, and the Open GD77 Radio Firmware Project, updated, WIA board member Chris, VK3FY, plus much more in this edition of news from your Wireless Institute of Australia.
Who listens to radio?
I'm Michelle, VK2AYL.
This is Andrew, VK3 Charlie Alpha Hotel.
This is Kevin, VK4UH.
I'm Colin, VK5XY.
This is Stephen Green, VK2TSG.
I'm Felix, VK4FUQ Inningham.
This is Chris Tibetrievich, VK3FY, on behalf of the Board of the Wireless Institute of Australia for VK1WIA National News. Today's topics. 1. ACMA Assessor accreditations are currently being sent out. 2. A reminder that the WIA AGM for 2024. 3. WA Directors Club visits. And 4. WIA Merit Award nominations. Topic 1. On the 29th of January 2024, the Australian Communications and Media Authority, or ACMA, has begun issuing its accreditations for the ACMA Assessor accreditation. Those assessors who have previously applied to the ACMA should have begun to receive their notifications. Topic 2. A friendly reminder that the 2024 WA AGM will be held on the weekend of May 4th to 5th, 2024 in Bundaberg, Queensland. Those wishing to attend can look up details on the WIA website. Topic 3. The WIA Board of Directors are happy to try and arrange club visits either in person when they are in the area or virtually via a video conference. Clubs wishing to participate are urged to contact the WIA Secretary Peter Clee, VK8ZZ. Topic 4. It's time to submit your nominations for this year's WIA Merit Awards. Nominations close 31st of March 2024, with the WIA Award recipients being announced at this year's WIA AGM in May 2024. This has been Chris, VK3FY, on behalf of the Board of the Wireless Institute of Australia for VK1 WIA National News.
This is Editor-in-Chief of Amateur Radio Magazine, Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH. For once, I have to speak to you seriously. For the 2 weeks leading up to last Monday, those involved in the production of the magazine worked industriously to prepare the pages of Amateur Radio Issue 1 to load to the printer's computer server on deadline. The issue's cover had been printed the previous week and lay awaiting for the guts to be printed. But a hiccup, an unforeseen circumstance, blocked the way. So it came to pass that diligent efforts on Tuesday last averted, diverted or inverted the threat, and issue 1 of Amateur Radio Magazine rolled off the press on Wednesday on time and ready for trucking to the mailing house and the newsagent distributors on Thursday. This was achieved by, you may have guessed, working together. Talking about working together, this issue I must introduce to you someone new, whose role is to prepare the photographs for each issue, to balance the colours and clean up the images to achieve the best presentation. Phil White, VK3 Mike Bravo, knowing that things could be better, stepped forward and volunteered to do this pre-press image processing for the magazine. After all, that's his day job. Give him a round of applause. We look forward to working together over 2024. So, this issue's features focus on pioneers of the past and marketing the hobby. The technical feature is a transverter for the 134 GHz band from Andrew Anderson VK3CV. Actually, it covers both 122 and 134 gigs. He invites you to join the action on the 2mm bands. You can build the system yourself. I am reliably informed that kits will be available thanks to the efforts of Tim Tuck, VK2XAX, and his XYL. More next week. Keep your eye out for Amateur Radio Magazine, Volume 92, Issue Number 1 for 2024. More guts, less gap. Proudly produced and printed in Australia. Also available online. Always published to a schedule, never random. I'm Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH, for VK1WIA News.
Let's work together.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's National News Service. We are VK1WIA. Now with international news, Jason, VK2LAW.
Hello. In an effort to engage young hams, the ARRL board has approved 2 new initiatives. Full-time students aged 21 and younger are now eligible for a free membership. ARRL will also establish a student coding competition in which students aged 21 and under will design software applications with awards up to $25,000. In addition, ARRL approved a number of other items, including the reintroduction of ARRL Life membership and 70-plus Life membership. The creator of the protocol that eventually came to govern synchronised timekeeping on billions of devices around the planet has become a silent key. Computer scientist and unstoppable tinkerer Dave Mills, Whiskey 3 Hotel Charlie Foxtrot, was a professor at the University of Delaware when he first tackled the question of how to synchronise the time on billions of devices around the world, including computers, switches, satellite servers and clocks. He ultimately addressed this question through the development of Network Time Protocol, or NTP, which he introduced to the world as the Internet began emerging as a global force. Dave became a silent key on the 17th of January. Radio and TV broadcasting, mobile communications, and other elements of the so-called wireless revolution can have all of their roots traced back to amateur radio, according to a recent article in the IEEE Explore written by Theodore Rappaport, November 9, November Bravo. Communications magazine IEEE Explores article, which is in volume 61 issue 11, credits amateur radio inventiveness that was incubated in the earliest amateur radio clubs growing on college campuses in the early 20th century. It singles out the Wireless Telegraph Club on Columbia University's New York City campus, noting the student members' propensity for wireless experimentation, and singles out one club member, Edwin Howard Armstrong, considered the father of FM radio. At the time, wireless enthusiasts were being born in Australia, the UK, and elsewhere in the world. The article traces how the advent of FM led to the development of mobile phones, and how amateurs' bottomless curiosity continues to be the driving spirit behind more and more inventive ways of communicating. To help fight pirate radio, the Federal Communications Commission hired 4 full-time people in fiscal 2023 and is in the process of hiring more. The FCC has also ordered 6 vehicles to support the hires with mobile direction finding equipment. The 6 vehicles will be outfitted in the 2024-2025 calendar years and will include specialised hardware and software for the detection of pirate radio operators. The Preventing Illegal Radio Abuse Through Enforcement, or Pirate Act, increased the maximum monetary penalties for pirate operators. Those caps now are $119,000 per day and $2.4 million in total. Amelia Earhart's long-lost plane possibly detected by sonar 16,000 feet underwater. This story sourced to CBS News America. Amelia Earhart's disappearance over the Central Pacific Ocean 87 years ago remains one of the greatest mysteries in aviation history. Countless theories about her fate have emerged in the decades since, but now a deep-sea exploration team searching for the wreckage of her small plane has provided another potential clue, including a new video released on Monday. Deep Sea Vision, a Charleston, South Carolina-based team, said this weekend that it captured a sonar image in the Pacific Ocean that appears to be Earhart's Lockheed 10E Electra aircraft. The company, which says it scanned over 5,200 square miles of the ocean floor starting in September, posted sonar images on social media that appear to show a plane-shaped object resting at the bottom of the sea. The 16-member team, which used a state-of-the-art underwater drone during the search, also released a new video of the expedition showing the team reviewing images taken by a submersible. After an extensive deep-water search, a talented group of underwater archaeologists and marine robotics experts have unveiled a sonar image that may answer the greatest modern mystery, the disappearance of Amelia Earhart, Deep Sea Vision wrote on Instagram. Earhart and navigator Fred Noonan disappeared on July 2, 1937, while flying over the Pacific Ocean during Earhart's attempt to become the first female aviator to circle the globe. They vanished without a trace, spurring the largest and most expensive search and rescue effort by the US Navy and Coast Guard in American history. Earhart and Noonan were declared dead 2 years later. Multiple deep-sea searchers using high-tech equipment have tried, but failed over the years to find Earhart's plane. Romeo told his team's underwater Huggen submersible captured the sonar image of the aircraft-shaped object about 16,000 feet below the Pacific Ocean surface, less than 100 miles from Howland Island, where Earhart and Noonan were supposed to stop and refuel before they vanished. Romeo's team didn't find the image until about 3 months into the trip, and at that stage it was impractical to turn back, so they intend to return for a closer look. Sonar experts say that only a closer look for details matching Earhart's Lockheed aircraft would provide definitive proof. For VK1 WIA National News, in Sydney, I'm Jason, VK2LAW.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's National News Service. We are VK1WIA. Now, operational news with Felix, VK4FUQ.
Hello there. Now Contest Wise 2024. ARRL DXCW contest, February 17-18, using only the 160, 80, 40, 20, 15 and 10 metre bands. And new for 2024 is their limited antenna overlay. Any single operator or single operator unlimited entrant can enter using the limited antennas overlay. Operation is limited to the use of single element antennas such as a single vertical, end-fed wire, or a single dipole antenna no more than 50 feet above the ground at its highest point. The antenna may cover multiple bands, as is the case with multiband verticals and dipoles with fan or trap constructions. New Zealand's Jock White Memorial Field Day will be 24-25 February 2024. The rules have been tweaked slightly and are now up on the NZART website. The definition of acceptable overseas contacts has changed to Oceania, as defined by the DXCC list. These changes have been made to better align the rules with the contest objective, simplify scoring and to use a defined geographical boundary. ARRL DX phone contest March 2 and 3. Use only the 160, 80, 40, 20, 15 and 10 metre bands. IAAUHF World Championship the second full weekend of July, that is 13-14. Trans-Tasman Low Band Contest, July 21, 2024. The Trans-Tasman Contest, always held on the third weekend in July, aims to encourage low band activity between VK and ZL. Only contest bands 160, 80 and 40 metres are allowed with SSB, CW and digital, that is, RTTY or PSK. This contest is another official WIA contest and will count towards the Peter Brown Contest Champion Awards. DX Window to the World. February 8 marks the 61st anniversary of the YL system, known as the YL International Single Sideband System, founded by Vera Tillman, K4ICA, Silent Key, in 1963. The YL ISSB net operates on 14.332 MHz every day of the year, but February 8 to 11 special event station K4ICA will operate on 14.340 MHz and 7230 7260 MHz to commemorate the system's anniversary. Morocco. Yannick, F6FYD is QRV as CN2YD until March 15. The Val Dam celebrates its 85th birthday. The Cecilborg ARC will be operating ZS85 BDAM now to the 1st of April 2024 to celebrate the 85th anniversary of the opening of the Val Dam. Namibia. QRV is V51WH from Omauru until the end of April. Activities are 160 to 10 metres, including 60 metres for those in the world able to use that band. V51WH. QSL to Gunta, home call is DK2WH. Malawi. Don, 7Q6M is QRV until May 13, 2024, and has also been active on 160 metres. QSL via LOTW. In the World DX, be listening for members of the Zurich City Police Radio Amateur Club throughout the year, operating as HB20SP. The club is marking its 20th anniversary. Unfortunately, no Bureau QSLs, but you can use Logbook of the World, and HB20SP runs until December 31. For VK1WIA National News, I'm Felix, VK4FUQ, Enningham.
Across Australia from VK1WIA, you are tuned to the National News Service. In Melbourne, it can be seen and heard on the Melbourne DATV repeater, VK3RTV, on Sundays at 10:30am and also 8pm. I'm Peter, VK3BFG.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's National News Service. We are VK1WIA. Now, Special Interest Group News with Cole, VK3GTV.
Hello, first up in Worldwide Special Interest Group News this week, it's Summits on the Air, Worldwide Flora and Fauna Program, Parks on the Air, and other adventure groups. Now including Rota. There's no prizes, no awards, no certificates, really nothing except bragging rights in a newly organised special interest group that focuses instead on activations at racing events. Any kind of racing events. Racing on the Air is a program that's purely for fun, not for points. Hams are being encouraged to activate from any type of formal race, whether the competitors are bicycles, horses, boats, aircraft, cars, even off-road motorsport. The objective is to show amateur radio in action and to increase its visibility at places where the public gathers. Callers simply use CQ Rota or CQ Racing on the Air to attract attention to whoever is on the bands. Attracting attention at the event itself is as easy as finding a place to set up. The Racing on the Air forum on the Worldwide DX radio site has all the details at worldwidedx.com. Even locations such as the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which already has an association with ham radio activations, are eligible to participate. The Rota organisers ask only that hams post the details of their planned activation, including modes and frequencies, and then upload the log afterward to their website. Ladies and gentlemen, start your rigs. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, ARDF, Find Your Food, Fox Hunt and Social. A neat idea and challenge for all hungry fox hunters, or wannabe fox hunters or socialites, comes out of South Africa, where on Friday afternoon, February 2nd, we understand a VHF fox ran. We also understand that if you found the fox, you found your food, which is pretty awesome. A slight twist in this cunning fox's repertoire. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Digital. Joining us now is the 2020 WIA Technical Excellence Awardee, Roger.
Hi, this is Roger, VK3KYY, with news from the OpenGD77 radio firmware project. OpenGD77 is replacement radio firmware for many Chinese VHF/UHF radios that's designed from the ground up for ham radio use. The firmware is mainly written by me, Roger VK3KYY, with help from F1RMB and G4EML. Last week we released the first version of firmware for the TYT MD 2017 and Retivis RT82, which are both dual-band VHF, UHF, FM and DMR handhelds. This brings the total number of supported radios to 11. All radios have the same functionality when running the OpenGD77 firmware, including voice prompts for blind and partially sighted operators, AMSAT satellite prediction, tracking and Doppler shift correction for satellite operation, FM APRS transmission, and many other features specifically designed for ham radio operation. All radios running the OpenGD77 firmware use the same CPS and code plug, meaning you don't need a different code plug for each radio. So if you have any of the following radios: Radioddity GD77 or GD77S, Baofeng DM1801, RD5R, DM5R version 2 or DM1701, TYT MD2017, MD-UV380, MD-UV390 or MD9600, Retivis RT82, RT84 or RT90, visit the OpenGD77 website at opengd77.com for more information. 73's from me, Roger, VK3KYY.
Thanks, Roger. Now, still in the digital mode, ROC Ham Radio Network asks the question, do you like pie? Well, I'm talking Raspberry Pi. The official Raspberry Pi Net takes place on each Sunday at 2200 UTC on the ROC Ham Echolink conference node 531091. Oh, and ROC Ham? It's the ham radio network emanating from Rochester, New York State in the USA, and on All-Star node 2585, 47620, 47918 and 531310. Join W2JLD John, GW8SZL Dave, or W4RFJ Chief each Sunday, where they talk about Raspberry Pis, Linux, All-Star Supermon, programming, and everything else Raspberry Pi. With a wide cast of characters and plenty of pie to go around, join in as they sit back and enjoy great fellowship and, most of all, have fun while learning something new. They often have a question and topic to get the net started. Loads of info to be had. You bring the coffee, they'll supply the pie. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, IOTA OC047. Bernhard will be active again as H44MS in the Solomon Islands from Melita, IOTA number OC047, from around the 10th of February every day on 160 through to 6 metres until the 25th of April. See QRZ.com for QSL details. NA011. For the last 2 weeks of January, the Vatican City state flag flapped in the strong sea breeze on Clipperton Island, one of the most isolated islands in the world, IOTA number NA011. Francesco Valsacchi, an Italian who operates the amateur radio call sign of Vatican City HV0A, brought the flag. It was the first time the Vatican flag has ever been unfurled on such a mission, and the first time the Vatican City made radio contact with the island. Valsacchi and more than a dozen others travelled to the desolate coral atoll in the eastern Pacific Ocean as part of an international expedition for long-distance amateur radio operators and listeners. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Medical. EI25 Heal on the air for World Cancer Day, February 4th. Anthony, based in Ireland, is operating a special call sign, EI25 Heal, that's spelled H-E-A-L. The call sign is dedicated to all those healing from cancer and not forgetting loved ones who've passed away. He'll be active on the 20, 15 and 40 metre bands. Special QSL cards are available, and any donations from the QSL cards go to his cancer charity. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Radio Amateur Oldtimers.
Hello everyone, this is Clive, VK6CSW, reminding you that tomorrow is the first Monday of the month, time for the Radio Amateurs Old Timers Club of Australia's February Bulletin to go to air, our first for this year. This month, as well as the latest club news, I'll be discussing Making the Connection, the story of the London Underground Railway map. This will be followed by Part 2 on the history of the transistor and its early development. Everyone, RAOTC members and non-members alike, is most welcome to listen to the programme and join in the callbacks afterwards. Full details of all transmissions, times and modes can be found on the RAOTC website at www.raotc.org.au or just Google RAOTC broadcasts. If none of the transmission times suit you, you can download the audio file at any time from today from the club website. Members and friends of the RAOTC in Perth are reminded that the next lunchtime meeting at the Woodbridge Hotel, East Guildford, is on Tuesday, February the 13th. All are welcome, and see the club website for full details. Once again, tune in tomorrow for the February RAOTC Bulletin. Enjoy the programme, and please join in the callbacks afterwards. 7-3 from Clive, VK6CSW.
Thanks, Clive. From the old to the new, it's Radio Amateur Young Timers, YOTA, Youngsters on the Air, with VK2MV, Alec.
Thank you, Cole. In line with the WIA's efforts in encouraging youth to participate in our hobby, the WIA has established our first radio bank in VK6. The bank consists of various radios including HF rigs, commercial VHF and UHF radios capable of access to 2-meter and 70 centimeter and a variety of accessories such as power supplies, coax, etc. The goal is to get youth on air with a minimum of expense. The first bank has been established by Steve VK6SJ and Stu VK6BG, both whom started in this hobby as students and appreciate the value of encouragement. They were the recipient of similar assistance in their youth from older hams. We hope that this will be the start of similar initiatives from clubs and others to help provide an easier entry to our hobby. For VK1 WIA National News, I'm Alec, VK2MV in Sydney. Now back to you, Cole.
Thanks, Alec. Next up, it's Worldwide Special Interest Groups Video, ATV, SSTV, and other forms such as YouTube. The RSGB has released a further 3 presentations on YouTube from its 2023 convention. In the first, Professor Simon Watts, G3XXH, gives a fascinating presentation about VHF airborne radar and the design and performance of these early systems in World War II. The other 2 presentations focus on the World Radio Sport Team Championship, which the UK will be hosting in 2026 at the RSGB convention. WRTC Chair Mark Haynes, M0DXR, gave an overview of what's being planned and how people can get involved either as a spectator, volunteer, competitor or referee. John Warburton, G4IRN, gave his perspective on what it's like to be a WRTC referee. You can see all of these presentations on the RSGB YouTube channel. And that's the latest Worldwide Special Interest Group news. I'm Col, VK3GTV.
This is Linda, VK7QP. On Sunday, this broadcast goes out on repeaters all over VK7 and on digital radio, DMR Talk Group 5 and D-Star Reflector 91C. We also go out on UHF CB Channel 15 in Hobart. You can hear this broadcast again on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock on the repeaters VK7RAA in northern VK7 and VK7RAD in southern VK7.
2024, it's a date. VK3, it's on today, the Barg Hamfest, February 4. In VK4, Redcliffe and District's Redfest, April 6. WIA AGM, May 4 and 5 in Bundy. VK's National Volunteer Week, Monday the 20th to Sunday the 26th of May. VK5 Amateur Radio Experimenters Group Radio and Electronics Sale. That's Saturday, October 26. And November 17, it's Spark Rosebud Radio Fest. Now till next we meet, you're up to date, and I'm Graham, VK4BB. Walk softly.
This has been the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on wia.org.au.
Courtesy of Bevan, VK5BD's ATV and YouTube channel, this has been WIA National News. We're back now, live and local, and your voice, your callbacks. And don't forget, tick like.
It's time to get your news on. We are VK1W.
Greetings, listeners. This is VK3OTN, the official station of the Radio Amateurs Old Timers Club of Australia, with this month's news and information bulletin for members and friends of the club for February 2024. I am Andrew, a VK3 Charlie Alpha Hotel. Details on when to hear the news and information bulletins are available at the club's website, www.raotc.org.au. VK3OTN is available on a wide range of radio platforms, HF, VHF and UHF, along with 2-metre repeaters, amateur television, DMR, that is digital mobile radio, and D-Star. These news broadcasts are available for download for up to 6 months, just in case you missed the original news broadcast from the RAOTC website. Just put RAOTC into your favourite search engine. If you'd like to contact the club, then why not send us an email? Our address is raotc@raotc.org.au. I hope you enjoy this month's news broadcast. Welcome to the February 2024 edition of RAOTC Club News. The countdown to February 19 is on, and the new class licence system for amateur radio operators, and I suspect that not an awful lot will change. I personally think it's probably a little bit like the year 2000 millennium bug, where there was fear amongst some that they would fall off the edge of the earth, but in actual fact, virtually nothing changed at all. We've just got a little bit older. Geez, That's almost a quarter of a century ago now. Time certainly does seem to fly. There's plenty of information on the transition to the class licence system available on both national and local radio clubs, as well as the ACMA website. One good outcome seems to be that the cost of obtaining a licence should drop considerably. If you've renewed your licence after December 9, as in my case, you may be able to obtain a partial refund. I received a letter this week from the ACMA outlining how to go about this. Amateurs must renew their licence even if they expire on the day before the introduction of the class licence. A partial refund of paid licence fees will be made by the ACMA. Only valid paid licences will be moved to the new class licence system. That is, if you're a little tardy at paying your bills and accounts on time, your call sign will probably be released for reissue, and you could lose it. I wonder who will be first to try this. On another interesting note, there are a few amateurs who seem to like collecting two-letter call signs, and I'm aware of at least one who has a total of 4 two-letter call signs allocated to them. We'll see how this goes. It should be very interesting. The March 2024 OTN was scheduled to go to the printers in late January. The issue is the result of hard work by the editorial board and the desktop publisher, Tim Robinson, a VK3YBP, who has set up a template and laid up OTN using Scribus. Scribus is free open source software. One minor disadvantage in Scribus does not come with a handbook. To find answers to problems, an internet search is required. We will only be able to produce OTN if we receive articles to publish. Members are requested to write articles. The RAOTC copy editors can polish the articles and do any necessary wordsmithing. Tim, VK3YBP, and Jim, VK3ZKK, are working on a system to enable members to record stories and events on a digital recorder or mobile phone and submit them. Tim and Jim will turn them into written articles. The addition of relevant photos or images will make the articles more interesting. This process will enable members to record stories that other members can provide, especially those who do not have computers and those who think that it is too hard to write an article. Tim and Jim will produce a set of questions that the interviewer can ask to get the ball rolling, and hopefully the amateur being interviewed will open up and provide a lot of interesting information to be crafted into a written article. A letter was received from Leo Nett, Secretary of the Morse-Codian Fraternity, Beechworth, and was received via our fellow committee member, Peter, VK8ZZ. The Morse code telegram system, reintroduced by the Morse-Codian Fraternity in the 1980s, is in decline. Across Australia today, Beechworth, Victoria is the last operating telegraph station remaining and needs volunteer operators there, and to keep a telegraph service alive in other potential locations in Melbourne and central Victoria. For further information, and if you think you might be able to help, please contact Leo Nett on 0435 584 857. Once again, the phone number is 0435 584 857. Bequests and legacies. Following on from the club news I presented in December, entitled Planning Ahead, is an article in the January and February edition of Amateur Radio magazine. In recent months, the board of the WIA has been contacted by a number of our members in relation to bequests and legacies. Information is available from the WIA President, Scott Williams, VK3KJ, or the WIA Secretary, Peter Klee, VK8ZZ. His contact details are available on the WIA website. New members and silent keys. I haven't been advised of any new members or silent keys in the last 2 months. Members are reminded the very latest club news is available via the RAOTC website. Put RAOTC into your favourite search engine to find it. www.raotc.org.au. The next broadcast I'll present is due to take place on Monday, the 1st of April 2024. However, next month there will be another historical broadcast from years past presented by Alan Dable, VK3 AMD. And that's about all the club news we have for you at this time.
You are listening to VK3OTN and associated relay stations. VK3OTN is the official station of the Radio Amateurs Old Timers Club Australia Incorporated, with the monthly news and information bulletin for members and friends of the club.
OTN available on audio DVD. A little-known service that the RAOTC provides for vision-impaired members is an audio file on DVD of each edition of OTN shortly after each issue is published. As soon as each issue of OTN appears, Ian Godsill, VK3JS, reads onto audio file the complete magazine from cover to cover. This is a mammoth task, and Ian is to be congratulated for the countless hours he spends recording each issue of OTN. These audio DVDs are then provided free of charge to the small number of vision-impaired RAOTC members. If you are vision impaired to the extent that you are unable to visually read OTN magazine and would like to be put on the mailing list for these OTN audio DVDs, please contact the RAOTC at raotc@raotc.org.au or via Post Office Box 107, Mentone, Victoria 3194, or by telephone direct.
This month we have a couple of technical articles for you. First up is Clive, VK6CSW, who will discuss Making the Connection, a short history of the London Underground Railway map, how it was developed, and how the map is now used throughout the world. This article first appeared in OTN several years ago. This will be followed by the second part of a discussion of the history of the transistor and its early development. Now, it's over to you, Clive.
Making the Connection, a subterranean circuit. Even though you may never have been to London, just about everyone is aware of the general style of the London Underground System map, a style copied by almost all of the world's underground railways and a good many surface public transport systems too. This is the story of how that style of map came about. Prior to January 1933, the London Tube map had always been geographically based. But as the system expanded and extended further out into the suburbs, trying to maintain an accurate geographic representation of all the different lines that together made up the London Underground system meant that the close spacing of stations in central London made it increasingly difficult to squeeze in all the names, making the map confusing and quite hard to read. In 1931, a junior draftsman named Henry Charles Beck had a brilliant idea. Harry, as he was known, had worked in the Signal Engineers Department of London Transport for some 6 years and felt that the geographical tube map was less than satisfactory. The brilliant aspect of his idea was the realization that conventional maps can be too accurate and therefore unnecessarily complex and crowded. Instead of trying to portray the real distance between stations and the correct angles at which the various tube lines actually intersected, Beck's map simply provided a schematic display, rather like the electrical circuit diagrams his daily work involved. His map suggested that virtually every station was equidistant and that the lines only met or changed direction at neat 45-degree or 90-degree angles. From the traveller's perspective, this geographical inaccuracy was, and still is, of no consequence. A person simply wants to know how to get to a particular destination, which lines to travel on, and where interchange stations are. When Beck first presented his map to the London Transport Publicity Committee in 1931, it was rejected, but following some improvements, including the use of bright contrasting colours for different lines, it was accepted the next year. In January 1933, 750,000 copies of the new schematic map were distributed free to Londoners and proved an instant success. From London Transport's point of view, they had picked a real winner. Since its inception, the design has brought in millions of pounds in licence fees from all sorts of organisations worldwide, and not just underground railways, but bus lines and even general businesses. History records that Harry Beck's reward for his idea was either 5 or 10 guineas. The figure is uncertain, but in view of its success and the revenue generated for his employer, I guess you could say that Harry was well and truly short-circuited. This article was freely adapted from The Subterranean Railway, a book by Christian Wolmar, published by Atlantic Books in London, 2012.
Thanks very much, Clive. OTN on disc. Are you aware that the entire collection of OTN is available on disc, delivered right to your door for the minimal cost of $25? The files are all in a portable document format or PDF and can be viewed on any tablet or desktop PC. As time moves on, you've probably noticed that over the years you tend to hoard a few things. When something new arrives home, you have to find room to keep it. Well, why not consider adding the entire collection of OTN? The really good news is, it won't take up any space at all, and it won't provide any food for the silverfish, if you're plagued by them. There is another advantage that might not be quite so evident. The files are pretty much the same as what goes off to the printer twice a year. As time moves on, many readers realise their eyes aren't as young as they used to be. Viewing articles on a 22-inch screen is a whole lot easier. You can zoom right in and have one whole column on the screen at a time. Like online newspapers, it's not quite the same as a printed copy, but the advantage is you don't have to worry about where you're going to keep the things. Further details of how to order OTN on disc is available from the RAOTC website, www.raotc.org.au. This is Andrew, VK3CAH.
You are listening to VK3OTN. VK3OTN is the official station of the Radio Amateurs Old Timers Club, Australia, Incorporated, with the monthly news and information bulletin for members and friends of the club.
The history of the transistor and its early developments. Brattain started working on building such a device, and tantalizing hints of amplification continued to appear as the team worked on the problem. Sometimes the system would work, but then stop working unexpectedly. In one instance, a non-working system started working when placed in water. The electrons in any one piece of the crystal would migrate about due to nearby charges. Electrons in the emitters, or the holes in the collectors, would cluster at the surface of the crystal, where they could find their opposite charge floating around in the air or water. Yet they could be pushed away from the surface with the application of a small amount of charge from any other location on the crystal. Instead of needing a large supply of injected electrons, a very small number in the right place on the crystal would accomplish the same thing. Their understanding solved the problem of needing a very small control area to some degree. Instead of needing two separate semiconductors connected by a common, but tiny, region, a single larger surface would serve. The emitter and collector leads would both be placed very close together on the top, with the control lead placed on the base of the crystal. When current was applied to the base lead, the electrons or holes would be pushed out across the block of semiconductor and collect on the far surface. As long as the emitter and collector were very close together, this should allow enough electrons or holes between them to allow conduction to start. An early witness of the phenomenon was Ralph Bray, a young graduate student. He joined the germanium effort at Purdue University in November 1943 and was given the tricky task of measuring the spreading resistance at the metal semiconductor contact. Bray found a great many anomalies, such as internal high resistivity barriers in some samples of germanium. The most curious phenomenon was the exceptionally low resistance observed when voltage pulses were applied. This effect remained a mystery because nobody realized, until 1948, that Bray had observed minority carrier injection, the effect that was identified by William Sharkley at Bell Labs and made the transistor a reality. Bray wrote the following: "That was the one aspect that we missed, but even had we understood the idea of minority carrier injection, we would have said, oh, this explains our effects. We might not necessarily have gone ahead and said, let's start making transistors, open up a factory and sell them." At that time the important device was the high back voltage rectifier. Sharkley's research team initially attempted to build a field effect transistor, or FET, by trying to modulate the conductivity of a semiconductor, but was unsuccessful, mainly due to problems with the surface states, the dangling bond, and the germanium and copper compound materials. In the course of trying to understand the mysterious reasons behind their failure to build a working FET, this led them to instead inventing the bipolar point contact and junction transistors. The first working transistor. The Bell team made many attempts to build such a system with various tools but generally failed. Setups where the contacts were close enough were invariably as fragile as the original cat's whisker detectors had been and would work briefly, if at all. Eventually they had a practical breakthrough. A piece of gold foil was glued to the edge of a triangular plastic wedge, and then the foil was sliced with a razor at the tip of the triangle. The result was two very closely spaced contacts of gold. When the plastic was pushed down onto the surface of a crystal and voltage applied to the other side, on the base of the crystal, current started to flow from one contact to the other, as the base voltage pushed the electrons away from the base towards the other side near the contacts. The point contact transistor had been invented. Brattain and H.R. Moore made a demonstration to several of their colleagues and managers at Bell Labs on the afternoon of the 23rd of December 1947, often given as the birth date of the transistor. The PNP point contact germanium transistor operated as a speech amplifier with a power gain of 18 in that trial. In 1956 John Bardeen, Walter Hauser Brattain, and William Bradford Sharkley were honored with the Nobel Prize in Physics for their researches on semiconductors and their discovery of the transistor effect. 12 people are mentioned as directly involved in the invention of the transistor in the Bell Laboratory. At the same time some European scientists were led by the idea of solid-state amplifiers. The German physicist Herbert F. Matari had conducted experiments at Telefunken with what he called the duodiode, that is double diode, from 1942, when he first observed transconductance effects with silicon diodes manufactured for German radar equipment for World War II. Finally, on the 13th of August 1948, Matari and Heinrich Welker, working at Compagnie des Freins et Seigneurs Westinghouse in Aulnay-sous-Bois, France, applied for a patent on an amplifier based on the minority carrier injection process which they called the transistron. The device was shown publicly on the 18th of May 1949. Transistrons were commercially manufactured for the French telephone company and military, and in 1953 a solid-state radio receiver with 4 transistrons was demonstrated at the Dusseldorf Radio Fair. As Bell Labs did not make a public announcement of their transistor before June 1948, the transistron was an independent parallel discovery and development. Bell Labs needed a generic name for the new invention. Semiconductor triode, surface states triode, crystal triode, cell triode and iotatron were all considered, but transistor, coined by John R. Pierce, was the clear winner of an internal ballot owing in part to the affinity that Bell engineers had developed for the suffix -ister. The rationale for the name is described in the following extract from the company's technical memorandum calling for votes. Transistor. This is an abbreviated combination of the words transconductance or transfer and varistor. The device logically belongs in the varistor family and has the transconductance or transfer impedance of a device having gain, so that this combination is descriptive. Pierce recalled the naming somewhat differently. He said the following: "The way I provided the name was to think of what the device did. And at that time, it was supposed to be the dual of the vacuum tube. The vacuum tube had transconductance, so the transistor would have transresistance. And the name should fit in with the names of other devices, such as varistor and thermistor. And I suggested the name transistor. The Nobel Foundation states that the term is a combination of the words transfer and resistor." Early conflict. Sharkley was upset about the device being credited to Brattain and Bardeen, who he felt had built it behind his back to take the glory. Matters became worse when Bell Labs lawyers found that some of Sharkley's own writings on the transistor were close enough to those of an earlier 1925 patent by Julius Edgar Lilienfeld that they thought it best that his name be left off the patent application. This article, The History of the Transistor and Its Early Developments, is based on information from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia.
You are listening to VK3OTN and associated relay stations. VK3OTN is the official station of the Radio Amateurs Old Timers Club, Australia Incorporated, with a monthly news and information bulletin for members and friends of the club.
Perth Luncheons. The popular and well-attended monthly luncheons for RATC members and friends in and around the Perth area are held on the second Tuesday of each month. The VK6 RATC group have a new venue, the Woodbridge Hotel, east of Guildford. Reports indicate the hospitality to be excellent. The Perth group meet at 11:30am for lunch at 12 midday. This is not a buffet meal, but excellent food in both pensioner and standard portions are available. We would like to place orders at 12 midday, so please don't be late. This information is courtesy of Phil, VK6ZKO, whose contact details can be found on the club's website. It's customary to end this broadcast with a humorous or short story, and this one's entitled Catching Salmon. Paddy and Predrag are walking down the road when they see a guy pushing a bike. On the back of the bike is a beautiful salmon. "How did you catch that?" asked Paddy. The man with the bike explains that a mate of his hangs him over a bridge, and when the salmon comes along he scoops it up. Paddy and Predrag thought that this was just too easy to miss out on, the opportunity to catch a beautiful salmon. So they both go down to the nearest bridge, and Paddy lowers Predrag over the bridge and waits. 10 minutes goes by. "Any sign of a salmon yet?" Paddy shouts down. "Nothing yet," shouts Predrag. An hour passes, and the same. No salmon in sight. Suddenly Predrag shouts, "Paddy, Paddy, pull me up quick!" "Have you caught a salmon there then?" Predrag replies, "No, be quick, there's a flummin' train coming." Wrong sort of bridge, I suppose.
That's all we have for you this month, and we hope you found something of interest. Thanks for being with us, and we hope you will join in the callbacks, where callbacks are taken. The next RAOTC News and Information broadcast will take place on the first Monday of next month, on the same frequencies, and at the same times as today, with the exception of January. If you have missed all or part of this broadcast, or you just want to listen to it again, it is available for download from the RAOTC website. Simply go to www.raotc.org.au. Again, the website URL is www.raotc.org.au. On the right-hand side is the main menu. Click on VK3OTN Broadcasts, and you will be able to see the various times and frequencies of the VK3OTN transmissions by all of our volunteers, provided of course a volunteer is available. Down towards the bottom of the page is the current and previous 5 broadcasts for you to listen to. Sometimes the relay station is an automated broadcast, for example, a repeater, where no operator is available to take callbacks. Other times the volunteer operator suffers from very heavy local QIM, and callbacks are not always possible. Many operators need a small amount of time to switch from playing a recorded file to using a microphone. Please be mindful of this. This is VK30TN signing clear from today's news and information session. 73 from the AOTC broadcast team.